Hi, I'm going to talk to you about dining room seats, and we're getting a lot of them coming in now because of the holidays coming up. And so one complaint is like the foam is either too soft and you can feel the board underneath, but a lot of dining room seats have this elastic webbing on it, and it rots out and gives out, and so then they feel like their bottom is starting to fall out. And so I don't go back with the same elastic because it doesn't last. Elastic rots. So I go back with the old jute webbing, which will last for 50 years and or more. So anyway, I'm just showing you how I go about putting this on. I have a large roll, and this is a webbing stretcher, and so I attach at one end, like I'll staple it here and then I'll weave it through, and then I take this and then I should have had this attached down. Hang on a second. Well, I have to weave it through here. So we're going to go ahead and weave it through like so. Hard to do one-handed, and then on the last one it's kind of tight. So then I will tap it down with my staple. Then I will take the stretcher, and notice I have clamps holding the seat down so that way I don't have to hold on to it. And I will get this on the edge of the table or the edge of that. It has little spikes on the end, and so then I get those spikes, I kind of get it up to where it's at an angle like so, and then I can stretch it down and get it tight. And I'm going to try to do this without getting poked. Okay, so I've got pressure of it going down, and then I will staple it down, release that off, and cut that off. And so that's how you do it. Then I'll put the foam on the top, and this one is going to get some new 2-inch foam put on it, which is a dense foam, and replace this foam, which is not bad, but what I put on it will be firmer. Thank you. When you go to start to do dining room seats, these are simple ones, they're just wrapped. You will have a dust cover, and they are attached with like 4 screws, so you just unscrew them off. And then I always suggest to mark each one to each chair. So like this is number 1, so the chair would have number 1 on it. So that way when you go to put them back, the holes will all line up, and you won't have struggling with trying to find the holes. So you will just take the dust cover off, and like this one's in good shape, so you would try to take your staples out to where you could probably reuse that. If not, you can get from your Reupholster dust cover on the roll like this, and so you could come and purchase it from an upholster. And so then then after you take that off, then you'll take off your the staples be holding on your cover, and I would take at least one off so you can use that as your pattern. So on these, so this is showing where we've marked on the wood that that's number 2, and then that this is the side that's going to have the webbing on top of it. As in the other video, I've explained on the elastic webbing and then replacing it with the jute webbing, and then you have your foam. And so here is the piece that came off of here, and this one has welt, so have to make welt for it. But this will be, I'll use this as my pattern to get an idea. And so I could reuse that foam most of the time you can, at least for your first upholstering job, reupholstering job. But I will then show another little video of showing when we go to cut the foam for these. Thank you. So here I have the 2-inch foam to put on this seat, and I'm going to show you what I do. Is I kind of get about, it's probably about 1/4 of an inch edge on it, and then when I go to mark with my pen, I just kind of run it on there, which will give about 1/4 of an inch when I go to cut it. And then I will then glue it on with glue, spray glue, and I will get back with you on that, show you how to do that. Another little trick, while you've got a square or an oblong piece of foam and your seats are angled, so what you can do is you cut the one out with the wider on this edge, then you turn it so you have the wider out on this edge, and then this just fits right along there, so you can use that as the edge of one of them, so it's so you don't waste it. And sometimes, you know, you can use this piece, extra piece here, cut them and glue the pieces together to make another seat, and that's how you can utilize your scrap. And it won't make any difference that you're gluing 2 pieces or 3 or 4 together, because then you can cover it with a Dacron, so it won't show any seams, and your glue will hold it together. So anyway, that's another tidbit to add to the upholstering dining room seats. Alright, so now we're at the point, I've got 3 out of this part of a sheet, and I'm going to be able to take this bigger section and take that back section and add it together, glue it together to make my 4th one. So anyway, you want to know how to cut the foam? Well, you go to Target or Walmart and you buy you an electric knife that is used for carving meat or whatever, and it will slice right through it. And I will get it ready here. And show you how. Oops. Well, maybe not. Should have it ready. I do have it plugged in. That's locked in there. No, it is not. There we go. Alright. Okay, the video that I started cut, it clicked off. So anyway, I'm just showing you how I just use my electric knife. As you can see, it does cut. And I have this cutting board on my table, that way I don't have to worry about cutting through anything. And I will continue to cut out and get them ready to glue them on. Here's the scraps that were left over from cutting out 3 out of that partial sheet. So I'm going to glue these together and then cut the other one out. And here's like the spray glue I use. You can also get like a 3M and it's a tack adhesive, so you have to spray both sides for them and then let them get a little tacky and then put them together. So this is the piece that I've spliced together, and so I've lined it up and I have spray glued both sides with my spray glue, and I've let it sit. And so then I will lay it down, and you want to make sure that you got like the same amount of foam on each side as best as you can. It's not really pertinent, but you want to have at least some, so when that edge comes down you've got softness. So then the next thing we'll do is we will put Dacron over the top, and Dacron comes like in a large roll. So I've taken and cut the amount but I've also split it because it's not necessarily that you need to have the whole thickness there. You just need it to, I'm going to get a different one for that one. So this is bonded Dacron, and bonded Dacron will split in half. And so we will put that on there, like so. And I will glue that down too. I'll shoot a little glue on top of there. And then it will come around. I'll have to trim some off, but I will get it all set up to be ready to be upholstered. I now have the dining room seats wrapped, foam on them, webbed, and Dacron wrapped, and I glued it on, and then I stapled it on. So now I'm to the point of where I'm going to cut my fabric. Now, this is a velvet. Velvets have a nap, so you have to feel with your hand, and this one is going down. It's going up. So down, you want the down when they go, the down coming this way to the front. That way when a person sits in it and they come out of it, it leaves the nap going correct and not ruffled. Okay, so you can use your pattern to cut. This one was kind of cut kind of big, so there's a lot of extra here. And I have only 2 yards to get 4 out, which would be just fine. But I also have to get welt out. And I measured my welt that I have, and it measures out to be 36 twice, which would be 72. So I'm going to have to, the way that this is, I remeasured my seat, and I need set 27 by 27, which this blank measures 28 by 27. So I can only, if I did 27, cut one blank here and one blank here, then that would only leave me enough to get 2 strips of welt out going 72. So what I'm going to have to do is go ahead and cut 1, 2, and then 1, 2, and then I'll have like a half of a yard left, and then I'll have to cut my welt like on the bias, or I could cut it straight since it's just going on an edge, and I could do my strips going across. Or I could do it on the bias, which if you have like a round seat, then you need to cut it on the bias, because if you don't, it's going to have kind of a ripply effect. It's hard to explain, but like on this cushion, this is all cut on the bias, so you don't have a ripply effect. Here we are, have the fabric laid out with the wrong side up and the dining room seat sitting there ready. And so what I'm going to do is when I start stapling, I'm going to start from the center in the front and then the center on the back. And I'm going to staple all the way up till probably, that far from the corners on the front and the back. Then I'm going to come into the sides and do the same thing. Start in the center, staple, and go down here and leave the corners for the last. And then there's different ways that you can do the corners to finish it off. It just all depends on what you prefer and like. Here's the dining room seat. And I finished my corners off with a fold on each corner, and the backs have little folds in the areas where it's... Here's the dining room seat stapled, and I started from the center and worked out, and I've left my corners optional, so I can figure out well, it helps you work the fabric and evenly distribute it. So anyway, the next one will be, I will show you my corners. So now that I've got it stapled down, I am going to go in and pull the front and the back and maybe the sides more because I don't want my edge to be so square or sharp. I want it to kind of come down. So I'm going to go ahead and put some more pull on it and staple it down. See, take out that extra, and I'll do the back the same way. May have to do it on the sides a little bit. You don't want to have, you want to have an even pull on the fabric. You don't want to have like ripply buckles. So I will go in and I will pull that to where it's smooth. Corners are folded and finished. That's the front one, and here's the back one. It has a cutout for the wood, so I folded it here and folded it there. And now I'm going to proceed to put on the welt. Here's the black bottom cover for dining room seats, and you can find a local upholster and purchase it from them. Or you can just use any kind of fabric. Just go to the fabric store and buy black or white. And so here is finished with the black bottom on it. So you just cut it out close to the same size, leaving a little bit to turn under, and cover it up. You also need to make sure that like the holes are lined up to where when you go back on, a lot of times I'll cut that out with a little scissors or a punch. So anyway, that will finish up your dining room seats. Thank you.